What is good, everybody? It is your boy, and welcome back to another album review with our The Forever Story. I don't know why I said our, but The Forever Story from Mr. JID. Now, if you guys don't know, I made a reaction video on this entire album. Please go check it out if you would like to. Some of you may have heard that it was coming out and not seen it, because it did actually get blocked for copyright reasons when it was first supposed to come out this past Friday, so I had to wait for a dispute to set in, which gives it 48 hours to be put back up before it's reviewed. So it came out on Sunday. So it's been out, except for some reason I think you don't get notifications if that's how the video is uploaded, because it's technically been up since Friday, but just not visible until Sunday. It's weird, but definitely go check that out if you haven't already. It was a very, very good album. You'll see with my reviews, my initial review for it, because as I do with my album reactions, I rate the songs individually, and then the entire album off first impressions and later impressions now. I gave it a 10 out of 10 off the rip, and I guess you guys will see if I stuck with that at the end. It will become pretty obvious towards as we go through if that's what I'm sticking with or not. But, yeah, go check it out. And if you want to know any of my specific ratings on any songs, go check it out there as well, because I do give my individual ratings on a scale of 1 to 10 on each separate song in the reaction video, and that's how it's going to go from here on out for every individual song reaction and every album reaction. And if I ever decide to listen to a whole album, every song, like, in a row, like I did with, like, the Off Season and a couple of other albums in the past, that's how that's going to go from now on. Anyway, I digress. The Forever Story. Technically a sequel for his biggest, not his biggest, his first big studio album, which was The Never Story. And obviously you could see how that's like an escalation of the other one. So The Forever Story is being received incredibly well for very good reasons. It is a very, very, very good album, I have to say. I enjoy it very much, and a lot of people are saying album of the year. I don't know if I really agree with that. It's definitely top 3, but I still think I'm gonna have to give it to Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers so far. But it's definitely up there. Maybe even 2, I don't know. But at the end of the year, I'll probably do a little, album recap of every hip-hop album that's come out this year and give my, top 5 or rank all of them, something like that. But yeah, it's being received really well by basically every hip-hop fan, because it's just genuinely a really good album. So I'll give you a bit of, a track-by-track summary and just some little thoughts on each song. Again, if you want my deeper thoughts and my initial reactions and my reviews of the songs on a number scale, go check out the reaction video, because I did that there. There's timestamps in the description, so if you only want to see an individual song, just go into the description and click the song, and then you can see me react to it, and then my final thoughts. So, yeah, I'll give you some summarized thoughts about each song, and then some final thoughts about the album as a whole, I guess. And we'll just go in track order. Actually, I have the track list up on my phone right now. First thing is not incredibly notable. It's Galaxy. It's an intro. It was less than a minute long, just instrumental, vocals in the background. Just a good way to lead you into the album, but not really the type of track that's going in a playlist. It's the type of track that you're only listening to when you're listening to the album from start to finish. So, nothing really notable about Galaxy relative to basically every other track on the album. So I'll just get into the actual tracks, which leads us off with Radar. Now, Radar is one of my favorite songs on the whole thing. It was a great way to start it off. It's very, it comes at you. It's very aggressive, if you will. There's a lot going on. The flows are going crazy. There's, 2 whole beat switches in it where it just completely changes, and it doesn't even revert back. It's not like a temporary beat switch. It switches, and then it switches to something else, and then it just ends. And it's really good. JID has always just been very masterful with the way he flows on basically any beat that he's put to rap over. And that's kind of his thing, to be honest. The bars were pretty nice on Radar. And I mean, again, the flows were just really good. Fit the beat really well. It just came out of nowhere with some really weird sample. Don't really know what it was from, but some really weird sample of like a chant at the beginning that just led directly into the song, like abruptly, but like in a good way. Because it's like the type of song where you would expect something like that. It's just supposed to be coming at you out of nowhere. And honestly, yeah, that's how I felt about Radar. Definitely one of the best tracks on it, which brings us to another one of the best tracks on it. I'm gonna say this about a lot of songs probably, but now we have Dance Now, which is one of the singles for this project. Now, most of you who haven't even heard this album have heard Dance Now by now, and that's because everybody who's heard it has enjoyed it. Dance Now is an incredible song. The bars are great. The beat is amazing. The hook is really good. The pre-chorus is also really good, where he gets that like Tyler the Creator-esque rasp. They know that I can't damn lie, and then when he says dance now, he's going dance now. It's very gravelly, you know. It's very aggressive. Dance now, and the way he transitions flows. I'm gonna have to say this about so many songs because he just does it so masterfully. It's just so impressive how he can't. He doesn't stick to a flow, so it's good and it doesn't get stale, which is incredible for a song, for it to not get boring, especially when it's something good, because you don't want something that sounds good to get boring, because then it kind of ruins things that may sound any aspect of similar, whether it's from the same artist or a different one. But Dance Now, I don't even know what else to say, man. Like, I feel like I'm not even doing this track justice, because it is definitely like one of, if not even maybe the best track on the entire album. But I mean, I don't know, man. Dance Now is just incredible. Please give it a listen. The leading verse, the way it's led in with the sample that's used for the beat, the bum bum ba dum bum bum bum, and then he just talks about himself for the first verse. He goes, JID back in the city with it. JID done been all across the globe. They say JID a scribbler, he's silly with it when he's spitting. I hope he don't sell his soul. He should be good, man. He signed a coal. He from the hood, down the road. Something. Then they saw the patrol. It was time to roll. Saw the patrol. It was time to ride. I know like all the words to this song now because I've heard it so many times. It's just an incredible song. So definitely give that a listen. And I would appreciate if you guys actually went over to the reaction video and watched that rendition of it. Although it was not my initial reaction because I had heard the song before because it was a single, I still went through it and broke it down a little bit. I did the same thing with Surround Sound, which came out actually a really long time ago relative to everything else, for a single at least. It came out a while before the album, which I'll get to that in a couple of tracks, but Surround Sound is also a really great track. That's all I have to really say about Dance Now. I mean, again, the bars are crazy. Mama said the Messiah's in moccasins, and that's a felony charge. He caught an F. They come to the A and get X'd out, and then back when he goes facts, because he spelled out facts. That song is just, it's one of his most lyrically impressive songs, and I would say the most lyrically impressive song on this album, for sure, and also some of the best production. That's a definite. That brings us to Crack Sandwich. This is a really good one, too. I gotta say this about every fucking song. Crack Sandwich is, kind of digs deeper into trying to tell a specific story. It does a great job of it. It's definitely, it's longer than Radar and Dance Now, but the length of the songs is very fluctuating on this. Most of them are around 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes, but we have a couple, like, I believe Sista and Them was about 6 minutes long. But whatever. It's not consistent with the length of songs, but that's not really something that people try to focus on an album because it's very unimportant. I don't know why people would deem it important, but Crack Sandwich is definitely one of the longer songs on this, but I'm personally not the type of person that gets turned off by a song being long. I have songs like For Your Eyes Only by J. Cole, which is 9 minutes long, and Afrik Aryan by Logic, which is 12.5 minutes long. I don't mind a long song at all. I have Friday Night Cypher, the Big Sean Cypher with Eminem, Royce da 5'9", T Grizzly, Sada Baby, etc. There's a bunch of people in that one. It's like 9.5 minutes long or something like that. I don't mind when a song is long. So this one being on, like, I believe 4.5 minutes, maybe, doesn't faze me at all. If the song's good, it's good, and I don't think the length is an important factor whatsoever. Actually, if it's good, I'd rather it be longer than shorter, so it's more of an experience, if you know what I'm saying. But Crack Sandwich does its job very nicely. It's not like incredibly notable in terms of production and bars specifically, but again, the way he rides the beat with his flow, the beat itself is pretty solid on this one. The production on this album is really good overall, that's for sure. I don't think I made too much note of it actually during the reaction, which I regret, but that's primarily because the previous album that I listened to was a DJ Khaled album, so obviously that one was like heavy on production. So I was coming off a producer album, listening to obviously just a rapper's album. It's the production levels are definitely going to be different, but it was still very solid on the Forever Story. Crack Sandwich was another really great song. I guess that's really all I have to say about it. This brings us to another one of my favorites, Can't Punk Me, which has an Earth Gang feature on it. Now, I would not call myself a fan of Earth Gang necessarily, because honestly, I haven't heard much of their stuff. I feel bad for this. I said this in the reaction. I haven't even looked it up since then. I don't know what the two members' names are even individually. I don't even know if they make music on their own, to be honest. I don't think they do. But most of the features that they have on like Dreamville projects and other Dreamville artists projects, like I don't remember which one of them was rapping on Down Bad, but that verse was incredible. Sacrifices, obviously J. Cole had an incredible verse on Sacrifices, but Earth Gang definitely contributed. I'd say maybe even the second most. I really liked their parts of it. They did that little hook and their verses at the beginning. And I don't know if I could call myself a fan of them because I've never gone out of my way to listen to them, but I've appreciated their music a lot. We'll put it like that. And both of their verses on Can't Punk Me were actually really nice. All three of them, Earth Gang and JID, rode the beat phenomenally. The incredibly high energy, high aggression hook where JID's just going, pull out the pump, can't pump me, bitch. Pull out the pump, can't punk me, ho. Pull out the pump, can't punk me, bitch. Pull out the pump, little punk bitch. It's just, and it's repeated, and he's like, I wouldn't say screaming it, but he's shouting it. It's really energetic, and I like that in a song. So yeah, Can't Punk Me is another really good one. High energy. The beat just gets so they just ride on the beat perfectly. Their flows are so nice. All three of the verses are incredible. And yeah, that's Can't Punk Me, which brings us to the song I mentioned before, Surround Sound, the other single that came out months ago. This song is incredible. I loved this song off rip before I even knew that the Forever Story was going to be an album, before most people knew that the Forever Story was going to be an album. Right when Surround Sound came out with 21 Savage in it. Phenomenal song. The hook is incredible. Again, flows. The beat's great. The sample that is used on the beat just fits perfectly. JID's verse at the beginning's amazing. 21's verse after that's amazing. Baby Tate's transition into the beat switch is really clean, and JID's verse on the beat switch is probably my favorite part of the song overall. He goes, I'm an anomaly. I turn into a rap ironically. That whole part, I just love Surround Sound, and I've loved it since it first came out. That song's just another incredible one. A big thing that I've noticed is very present on this album is beat switches. They happen in most of the songs, and they're always executed really well, both on the actual production side and on the way that JID adapts to said beat switches. So Surround Sound's probably the perfect example of that. Radar's also a great example of that. Like I mentioned before, there's 2 separate beat switches, and he kills all 3 of the separate beats that show up on that song. But the cleanliness of the transitions they just sound so smooth, and I think Surround Sound is a perfect example of that. I would say JID might be one of the best masters of the beat switch. I think maybe only behind artists like Travis Scott, because when you got songs that like Oh My Decide, I mean, come on, or Sicko Mode, obviously some of the best beat switches in hip hop in my personal opinion. Oh my god, I didn't know that this banger came right after Surround Sound. The next song is Cody Blue 31. Now, if you've heard anything on this album, you've probably heard Cody Blue 31. This might be my favorite song on the whole thing. I'm not positive. I'll give it maybe a top 5 at the end on my top 5 favorite tracks, but this one's definitely on there. Cody Blue 31, JID takes a much different approach. The beat is very different in vibe and mood to everything else. And it's in a very good way, because everything that's done different on this album is executed very nicely. And JID is actually taking a more melodic approach at the beginning, singing. You could see my reaction in the reaction video from before, but I was shocked as to how good he was at actually singing, considering he hasn't really done that at all before. I was like, wow, he's actually got quite the voice on him, and that is a really good way that he leads the song off. Excuse me, and then he leads it into the chorus, which is just like chorus choir-esque, just singing the word swang on, like, repeatedly. And it sounds really nice. It just sounds very... I don't know if calming is the word, but it instills a good feeling. If you want to know what I mean by that, please check the song out. Do yourself a favor. It is one of the best songs on the whole project, for sure. And that's for a good reason. That leads it into a really nice verse from JID, which leads into like a bit of a flow switch back to a singing-esque sound, which leads back into the swang on, and then it leads to the end, and it melds together really well, and I really like the change up in style at, like, I believe this is the halfway mark of the album. Yeah, it is. And yeah, Cody Blue 31, absolutely incredible song. I love it so much. Following that was Brudanem. This song is really good. Now, at first, I wasn't really feeling the hook that much. You can see that in the reaction, but it has 100% grown on me since then. And I already gave this song a really good rating in the reaction video, but now I like it even more, because the hook's grown on me. He goes, I spin the block for my Brudanem. I did a lot for my Brudanem. And I don't know why I didn't like it at first. I just didn't. But it's grown on me, and his verse following the hook at the beginning is really nice. And then, Dirk. This little Dirk feature was so good. I think this is probably the only song where I think JID may have gotten a wee bit out-rapped. I think Dirk's verse on this was amazing. I think it was the best feature verse on the entire album. That's probably a pretty hot take, but I love Dirk's verse on Brudanem, which... it's so good. It fits the beat perfectly, but not in a way that you would expect. Like, you would expect him to follow some kind of flow similar to what JID does in his verse, which is also a really good verse, but he doesn't at all, but it fits just as well in a completely different way. And I absolutely love the song for that. Following Brudanem is Systenem, which is a completely different mood of song. Systenem is more story-focused than Brudanem. Brudanem was kind of a message about brotherhood itself and, like, doing things for the people that you care about in life. And, like... I don't really know how else to say it. It's just, like... the people that you care about, you would do anything for them. Kind of like how in the hook he says, I do a lot for my Brudanem. Or I spin the block for my Brudanem. You better watch my Brudanem. You better watch my bros. How they would do anything for him and he'd do anything for them. Systenem, on the other hand, is definitely more heavy. It's more calm. It's not like a banger like a lot of the other songs that we've heard so far, like Dance Now and Surround Sound. But it's still a good one. This is actually the longest track on the record, like I mentioned before. But man, it's just such a solid song. This song relays its message really well. This one's more about like how the mind can be corrupt, can be made corrupt from the way you're brought up. There's a line somewhere in there about how he was raised in a way that he had established like misogyny within his mindset that like he didn't understand the bad thing when he was being brought up. And it's kind of like about how that can happen and how you can learn to change. That's only a small aspect of it, though. There's a lot of topics touched upon in System M, and all of them are presented very well. But that was one of the major takeaways that I got from it, at least. It was more about... this one was also about care for your family, and, like, how... I think one of the earlier lines is about how he doesn't want a loved one taking too big of a risk or putting themselves in a dangerous situation for his sake because he cares about them. I believe that was something on at the beginning. If not, that was definitely something that was conveyed through part of the song. I just don't remember where it was or what exactly it was, but that was kind of like the rough meaning of it, to put it like more simply. And I think that's all I really have to say about System. And this was another really great song, and yeah, I mean this album's just, it just keeps delivering, man. And that brings us to another song that has a pretty different vibe with "Can't Make You Change" with Ari Lennox on it. Now, in the reaction video, I had mentioned that I am not a huge fan of Ari Lennox, which is still true. I'm not a massive fan of her. I don't really like her style of music that much, at least from what I had heard from like Dreamville's records, like on D-Day and whatever. And I always thought she was a bit dramatic and she would oversing a little bit. I guess that's not true for every case, because "Can't Make You Change" is really nice. She just kind of calmly, in an almost like jazz-ish way, sings the hook, which is just "Can't Make You Change" a bunch of times. JID's verses are really nice. And there's some kind of, I don't even know what you would call it, a post-chorus, a bridge, after the second chorus, where JID is kind of singing in the background and she's singing along with him. And that little like flow there was really nice. It was, oh, how did it go? I don't remember how it went. It was like, it was "Baby, don't leave, you're all I need, and if you stay, then I'ma change my ways." And that was like repeated, I think like 4 or 5 times. And it sounded really nice. And again, the song's just about what I guess could be called cognitive inertia, or personality-based cognitive inertia, which is a concept in which your preconceived notions about something, whether it be your personality or just a belief that you have, or like something that you believe is fact, if you believe it for long enough, you refuse to have your mind changed about it. So like that's kind of one of the big points of it. And again, JID just delivers really nice verses and really good flows on top of this more calm beat relative to some of the other stuff, especially songs like "Radar," which are just way out there. And the variation in style of this album is definitely one of the more impressive aspects of it. And "Can't Make You Change" is followed by "Stars" featuring Yasin Bey. Now, I actually had never heard of Yasin Bey until this album, but I'm always ready to discover a new artist that I had never heard before, and this was that for me. I think his verse at the end was really nice. It was kind of a weird approach, but done correctly, where at the end of the song, the beat switched, shocker, and then Yasin Bey just had a verse at the end. It could have almost been like its own thing, if you know what I'm saying. It could have fit on another song, or maybe like if extended on that beat, could have just been another song for the album if JID just put verses on that beat or something along those lines. And yeah, I mean, it's more of a low-key song. The intro is kind of weird. I didn't like it at first, but it's grown on me, kind of like the hook on Brudenem. The beginning of "Stars," it's actually a really catchy flow, of course. Like the whole rest of the album, JID is just like rapping over a pretty calm beat, and he has this thing where the pitch of his voice is like fluctuating and warping as he's rapping. I didn't really like it at first because it sounded kind of weird. It is still weird, but I kind of like it now. And JID's other verses are nice. The hook's all right. It's nothing like insane. It's nothing crazy, but it's solid. I like it a lot. And again, Yasin Bey at the end, perfect. It just fit really nicely. Following that is Just in Time, which is another one of the best feature verses. I don't think this was as good as Dirk's, but Lil Wayne's verse on Just in Time was pretty freaking good. The hook was alright. I didn't mind it. It didn't hurt or help it, in my opinion. It could have been better. It could have been worse, though. I think JID's verses, of course, were great. Lil Wayne's verse was amazing, and the way that Lil Wayne's verse just led directly back into JID rapping, it just, like, paused the beat back to JID rapping for a little bit before the song led to its end. I thought that sounded really nice. For being a good song, that I really don't have much to say about it other than that. So, that was Just in Time. I mean, again, another really good song. I liked it a lot. This one is one of my hotter takes out of all of them, which is Money. So initial reaction, not too different from my current thoughts on the song, not super positive. I think it's funny, which it's supposed to be. The bars are kind of funny on it. Like, he said something about he's eaten so many bologna sandwiches in his life that he'd kill somebody if someone made one for him now. It's funny. The hook I don't really like that much. I feel like using, like, kids singing for your hook is very risky, because it's either going to be perfect or just not that great, and I don't think this one was that great. It was okay. It really wasn't amazing. Sometimes people do the same thing and pull it off incredibly. This was not one of those situations. I really didn't like it too much. The verses actually weren't that bad, but I just don't think they fit with the beat. I think, honestly, I would like this song a lot if it just had a different beat. So maybe if he were to remix it and put the same exact song over a different beat. Because the hook's not killing the song entirely for me. I think the verses being over the beats that they're over, it's not great. He has this one really fast flow on, I think, the second verse. And it sounds really nice if you're not focusing on the beat. I just really don't think the beat matches his sound on this song in particular, so I didn't really love this song too much. I like it a little bit more than I did initially, but not too much more, so whatever I gave it, like, out 1 to 10 on the initial reaction video, maybe add, like, a half a point, maybe 1 point, maybe 1.5 points, but it's still definitely my least favorite track on this entire project. It's just not amazing, to be honest. I'm not a huge fan of Money. It was alright, but it was not... It left a lot to be desired, in my opinion. But back to positive things. Better Days. This one brings JID back in singing a little bit more. He sings the hook. It sounds really nice. He has a way better singing voice than I bet most of us were expecting him to. And yeah, the hook's really nice on it. The verses, the meaning, it's really nice. Just talking about how, like, you're going through shit and you've seen better days. And yeah, it's just like a little bit of like a nice message as to, I don't know if nice is the word I would use, but it's just a message about how life can, like, be, in the shitter sometimes, and it could be better, it has been better, and maybe if you're an optimist, you could think of it as talking about how it can become better and will become better. I guess that, is up to interpretation if you're a half glass full or empty kind of guy. And this one is a really, really good track. Now, I feel like a fake fan for this. I've been listening to JID since 2018, so since maybe, like, a little while, couple months maybe after DiCaprio 2 released. I was introduced to him, I do believe, through Revenge of the Dreamers, but the singles that had come out before the actual album, because I'm pretty sure the album didn't come out until 2019, so, like, Down Bad, Costa Rica, those were some of my first showings of his skill in his art, which I was very happy when I discovered him, because I liked him off rip, and then I also came across a couple of songs off DiCaprio 2, like Off D's, and there are a couple that I can't think of right now. There are a couple of other ones that I've actually discovered recently, because I had not until recently, like, gone back to some of his old stuff. I need to listen to DiCaprio 2 and the Never story in their entirety, because I actually haven't done that. I've heard some other songs before, like Never, and I digress. I'm saying this because the final track on this is Lauder 2, which is a reference to the Never story, which outro is called Lauder, which is actually a song that I have not heard. I do believe the only song I've heard off the Never story is Never, which makes me feel like a bit of a fake fan, but in my defense, the Never story came out before I was listening to JID. I believe the Never story came out in 2017. DiCaprio 2 came out in 2018. I started listening to him in, like, the summer of 2018, I think. I don't know when in 2018 DiCaprio 2 came out, but just a little frame of reference. So I had not heard Lauder, so I actually didn't know that this was a reference until recently, actually. After I recorded the reaction, I didn't get the reference to the Never story. So Lauder 2 was a great song. Very dark relative to some of the other ones. Obviously not all of the topics when you're talking about the struggle and coming up as you did is going to be all like sunshine and rainbows, but this one talks about how like he feels like he has been and other people have been exploited for their voices. Like I don't know how else to word it. I'm definitely not wording it properly, but he feels like he's been wronged and people aren't really taking his music for what he means for it to be, in like regards of like meaning and shit like that. And it mentions one really standout part to me was when he says that he can't ignore the voices in his head at the beginning, and it cuts to this really aggressive, really nice sounding flow with a very dark message of the voices in his head telling him to put the finger on the trigger as he's looking at the mirror, mirror, mirror on the wall, and to, you know, pull the trigger. And it's very good when artists show that they have these feelings, so then people in real life that have such feelings can relate and understand that there are ways out of it, that there are other people who are going through the same things, that they're not the only ones, that they probably have someone that they can talk to. But that's not necessarily the main focus of it, but I do believe that is definitely a byproduct, and I don't think it was done accidentally. I just don't think that was the main focus of it. The main focus of it is for him to explain how he feels like his voice, in a way, has been exploited, and other people's voices similarly, in ways that put them in the light that they're not trying to put themselves in, if you get what I'm getting at here. And again, this is just another really, really solid track off the Forever story, and that's our outro, which brings us to the end. So our final thoughts, yeah, it's a 10 out of 10. It's a 10 out of 10. Again, I do want to disclose this for every reaction video and every review. I rank my albums and songs on a scale of 1 to 10 of how much of a must-listen I think they are relative to other music of the same genre. I believe this is a 10 out of 10 album. If you are a fan of hip-hop, you should like this album, unless you're not a good fan of hip-hop. But this album's incredible. Definitely give it a listen. Any songs that I made special note of, definitely listen to those first if you don't feel like giving the whole thing a listen. But overall, I definitely recommend that you give the whole thing a listen. And yeah, the Forever Story is 10 out of 10. One of the best albums to come out in 2022, and I don't think it's going to be pushed too far down unless we get, like, another Kendrick album or Cole album, or, I don't know, maybe Utopia comes out, but we'll see, I guess. We only have so much time left in the year. I am going to be making a tier list or a ranking of all of the albums, the hip-hop albums to come out in 2022 at the end of the year. So look forward to that. I have a couple of other announcements, as I've mentioned before, that'll be showing up in the next couple of weeks. And yeah, some big shit regarding my Pokemon card openings, which I know a lot of you guys have been enjoying, regarding gaming in general, regarding live streaming, and regarding one special little confidential secret for the channel that I've been excited to reveal and I've been working on for a little while now. So just look forward to all that. Make sure to subscribe if you guys enjoyed, and hit the like button. It helps out a lot. And again, if you enjoyed this, check out some of my other album reviews. Check out some of my album reactions. Especially this one, The Forever Story. I did a full album reaction. And yeah, if you guys want, I would greatly appreciate if you guys would check out some of my other content, because relative to my hip-hop related endeavors and my Pokemon card related endeavors. A lot of my other stuff does not perform as well, despite some of it being the content that I'm more proud of, because it's me in touch with more of my creative side. I made a skit recently. I have a lot of funny moments videos, stuff like Jackbox and Gardic Phone. Just me being goofy, trying to make you guys laugh, because I love making people laugh. So if you guys want to check some of that out, please do. Those are my favorite videos to record, and my favorite videos just to be a part of, because they're just so much fun for me to make. And I really love when people enjoy that stuff, because I just love making people laugh. I'm talking too much, but one more time, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next video. Deuces.